Welcome to Speaking with Elvis podcast. This is the podcast of anything personal development, public speaking, communication, leadership, just anything that can help you grow as individual. So as I promised at the beginning of this show, that down the road, because I've started with solo podcasts, that means I was just sharing some topic that can help you improve your communication and anything personal development. And I promised you at the onset of this show that I was going to bring guests that would share their own story, that would help us navigate our own story. And today, it is such a moment. And this young man that I have on the show is somebody that I've known in a very long time. I think over 10 years now. In fact, we met at Toastmasters. And Toastmaster, it is this organization where you are trying to learn how to communicate effectively and public speak. It was that time that I was still figuring out how I want to use my ability to communicate to impact people. That's how I met this young man on the show. And in fact, from that moment on, we became very good friends. And we've done a lot of work in the public speaking space. In fact, I think one of my biggest audience thus far was from him. He was actually the one who secured that speaking engagement from school. And we've spoken to thousands of students at the same time. So it was remarkable. So this man has always been with me ever since. We've done master classes together in communication and even led some boot camps in communication. So that tells you a little bit that this man really is a powerhouse when it comes to not only communication, but we're not going to talk about his ability to communicate because you would only hear it as you will see it and hear it. But we will talk about something that is really important. And it's simply about the power of your one thing. Now, the power of your one thing is the book that I've wrote a few months ago. And that book is really changing how he does business. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Daryl Bryant. How you doing, Daryl?
Hey, buddy. I can't tell you how wonderful it is and how honored I am to be here speaking with you today. Our relationship goes back, you said 10 years, but I easy 15 years.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
I
Okay. Yes.
remember the first time we met. I remember first time we met in Toastmasters club in Culver City. And there was nobody more hungry to learn to communicate more effectively than you was me. It's like I saw myself in you. And every time I had the opportunity to challenge anyone in the club to speak, if your name was on the list, I was trying to get up there with you. Do what we do and
That's
do
right.
what we do as far as communicating.
That's
So
right.
your friendship, man, means the world to me. And we call each other a brother from another mother,
That's
because
right.
man, we share the same common thread when it comes to helping people, communicating effectively, and
Yes.
developing goals and ambitions in life. Because life is a goal-oriented lesson. So we've got to learn daily from our experiences and our opportunities. And
Yes.
wow, I can't tell you how honored I am to be talking to you today, and your
Abs-
wisdom and your knowledge and your sharing of that life experiences, Elvis, is coming out through your work in your books and in your authoring. And I'm proud of you, bro. I'm
Well,
super
thank
proud
you,
of you.
brother. Thank you, brother. Now, quickly, we're just gonna get into the meat of why we're here today. Now, enough of a lot of just a compliment and And a bit of flattery, which is true, by the way. But then let's get to the meat because people want to improve themselves, and that's what we're going to be talking today about. Now, I did not really say much of what you do. That's a reason why I'm going to ask this very first question related to what you do now. So, Daryl, before investment, which is what you do now, and before acting, which is what you do now, well, who was Daryl before?
Daryl Bryant was a basic, um, hungry for finding out what my talent, my true talent was. I was always open to do whatever, whenever, however, and I like learning. Learning was always a part of my DNA. So anybody that had an opportunity to teach me something, I took advantage of that, especially if it was free, Elvis. You know, if somebody's going to give you and share their knowledge and talent with you, and that's free, take it, seize it, jump on it, you know, because you never know where it could do for you or do with you and your existing talent. God, I always tell people this: God don't cheat people out of their talents. Everybody's got something unique that they need to share with the world. So you got to figure that thing out that it is. And then you wrote this book, The One Thing. I'm like, wow. How can you precise it even more than saying like there is one thing in you that's going to make you do what you do the best you can do if you work on that one thing. It only makes sense. I used to be a school teacher, Elvis. I just retired from the Los Angeles Unified School District. I taught media, art, and entertainment. And that one thing that I learned prior to teaching helped me get a teaching job. Before that, I worked in motion picture television as a transportation coordinator, and I used to take movie sets and actors and directors and producers and you name it. Anybody that needed transportation to and from the movie set, that was my responsibility. And I dealt with every single facet of the motion picture business: camera operators, lighting, makeup, hair people, oh, so many talented people, right? And I'm
Mm.
watching all these people take that one thing that they did good and put it into a movie and make that movie a blockbuster and make millions and billions of dollars because you as a hairstylist put the hair on the actor to make them look vintage, to make them look unique, to make them look camera appealing. You put the makeup on that person, that one thing, that one talent that you had with makeup, put that makeup on that actor and made that actor look amazing on the movie screen and made people cry, made people laugh, made people sad, made people scared. You know, like there is a talent in inside of your talent that exists and takes over and exceeds like your expectations if you figure what it is out. It'll exceed your expectations. So when you
Wow.
wrote this book, man, I couldn't wait to give it to my students. I can't wait to give it to my friends and cohorts because focusing on one thing can get you to another thing. And then that other thing can get you to another thing. So you
Yes.
get like, you just keep growing expeditiously, expeditiously. You know, just start growing. It's like stacking bricks. You know, as soon as you stack the bricks right, you'll have a wall. As soon as you have a wall, you have protection. As soon as you have protection, you have to say safety and security. That one thing does that. I'm here.
Okay. Now, so that's amazing what you just shared. It's really, I mean, just what you just shared, man, it can help somebody to figure out exactly where they are in life. And then, because you mentioned so much of the one thing in your answer, I want to ask you, when did you realize first your one thing, and how was that clear for you, especially at the beginning? When was that moment that you realized your own one thing? Whether it is the one thing that you are actually involved in now, or maybe even the previous one thing. So when was it for you, and how clear it was for you?
And you know, Elvis, it's like a feeling. It's like a spiritual feeling that you have inside of you when you do something well. You know, if you hit a ball, if you're a batter and the pitcher pitches a ball and you get a hit and the people cheer for you and you feel that enthusiasm, that emotion that success has brought you, that makes you interested in doing that thing again and again and again and again and again. We talk about, you know, the book talks about repetition and finding out how to actually hone in on your goal and make it yours, like own it. You know, in public speaking, that's one of the world's most feared things other than death. People are more afraid of public speaking than dying. So, you know, it's like, how do you embrace that threshold and exceed at it without things like we talked about in the book,
Mm,
like practice,
mm,
you know, like and owning it, you know, like taking it and using it, like not only owning it, but using it to your advantage and making it like one of your tools in your tool chest. Like you can't screw a screw with a hammer if you only have a hammer in your toolbox. You got to go get a screwdriver to get the screw in. You know, so you got to figure out which tools are going to work to make your situation better.
yes.
Motivational speaking, public speaking helped me be a better teacher. It helped me
Wow.
be a better communicator. It helped me
Okay.
be a better helped me be a better husband. It helped me be a better father to my children. It
Mm,
helped me, yeah, it helped me in my community services. Like when I'm going out and I'm working in community services, it helps me all over. Or overall, my currently I'm doing a investment club. And my stockbroking investment team or club members, they need a good, strong, smart, wise, informed communicator to give
yes.
them advice on how to deal with their money, which is that's a very delicate area. You know,
Indeed.
telling somebody how to use how to invest their money properly.
Yeah.
So without strong communication skills, that wouldn't work for this.
That wouldn't do. Yeah. That's wouldn't do. Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. That's wonderful, man. So now the thing is, I know I can say that you have purchased around 30 books, 30 the power of your one thing books. So I just want to know, what did you see in that book that can make you to want to purchase as many as possible? What is that? I think you're my biggest client, my biggest ever since I published that book. But you purchased just by yourself over 30 copies of the power of your one thing. What did you see in that book that made you want to? I'm sure that when you purchase that is to give it to people. It's not just for you. What
Right.
it is that you saw in that book that I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm the author of the book, although I know what I wrote, but then somebody is coming from the outside and saw something in the book and be like, I'm going to purchase as many as possible because I seen something in this book. What is that you saw in the book, man?
Hey, Elvis, you know, there's gifts that you can give, and one thing is good information is a great gift. It's priceless. It doesn't have any. You can't put a price tag on good information. If somebody tells you a shortcut or how to get where you need to go. And they give you no obstacles, no barriers, no, you can make it easily. And through life, why not give this information to somebody, especially younger people, especially somebody who hasn't experienced the same things that we've experienced? Give them the information and the roadmap to how to do it. This book is a roadmap to how to succeed and how to capture and achieve your goals. Every chapter kind of, and I like the way you put it together, Elvis, is chronologically correct. It takes you from thinking about, okay, what I'm already doing, like multitasking.
Yeah.
Like you talk about how multitasking is a bad idea. You
Indeed.
cannot do two, three, four things at one time and be successful. You can do two, three, four things similar to each other that enhance one thing and make it better. That's not multitasking, that's task stacking. Now you can stack tasks, but you can't multitask. You can't pour concrete and lay floors and do electrical
I
and
know.
do plumbing. It's too
Indeed.
much. It's too
Yes.
much. You
Yes.
can't, they're two different things. You can't do all those things. But you can pour concrete to lay tile, to surface the floor, to finish the job.
Mm,
You can task stack, but you
mm.
cannot multitask. And a lot of
That,
people think like they can talk on the phone and they can write notes and they
yeah.
can balance a checkbook and they can do, like you can't. The
Yes.
brain was not developed to do multiple things at one time. It was developed to do one thing good and then do another thing to make that thing better and then keep task stacking. I love that in chapter 1 of your book. It really gets you started thinking about how to actually move on basics
Mm,
and build on the basics.
mm.
Commit. Commitment is
Right.
so important.
Yes. No, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Daryl. That's incredible. I mean, just the idea of thinking that because you find something special in the book that can help you in your own life, you realize how those around you, I mean, it could be family member, it could be friends, can benefit from that. And then you use your own money to be able to purchase this book and share with people. That just tells so much about how good of a person that you are, how good of a person you want to see other people become better. That's truly, truly amazing. And not only I thank you for purchasing my book, but also I thank you for doing an absolutely amazing job trying to think of others. Like you want to share the secret of wealth, if I can put it that way, right? You want to share the secret of success. It just
You know,
comes
yeah,
natural, and
I
it
was
tells
going
a
to tell
good.
you, man. I was
Yeah,
going to say in chapter 2, you write about finding it. Like what is it for you? What is that thing that
yeah,
that is the it for you?
yeah,
In
yeah,
chapter 2, you talk about finding it, and that's very important to figure out what that thing is that makes you unique,
yeah. Yes.
wonderful. And we've got a partnership and a collaboration with our communication boot camps and our communication workshops. And we're always sitting down with our clients to let them know that this thing that you're trying to get to is
Mm,
possible
mm.
by owning it. You know, like you got to own it and
Yes.
make it your
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Very important.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro. That's beautiful. That's really, especially even, already like decrypting the different chapters in the book. So now the question that I'm gonna ask you next is simply, so how did focusing on one thing how did it help you, or how is it helping you approach investment? Because that's exactly what you're doing now. So how do you use the insight of focusing on one thing? How is that helping you in your investment portfolio, in how you are approaching investment now? Because that's what you're doing.
Right. Okay, so when I read your book, right, chapter 4, you talk about having a clear plan. Like I wanted to retire from LA Unified School District after COVID.
Mm,
So I wasn't sure. My love for the classroom is still there. I still love the classroom and engaging with the students and developing talent in the classroom. But COVID put us out of the loop. It
uh,
took us away from that. So now I had to figure out how am I going to, or what my next chapter was.
mm,
I had to make sure it was clear. Like, what was my next thing? I still wanted to teach and I still wanted to educate and I still wanted to learn and I still wanted my finance and lifestyle to be the same. How can I do all of that? And the one thing that came to me was learning the stock market. I've always wanted to do it. I had the opportunity and the time to do it. I'm a school teacher, so I don't mind putting both elbows on the table, digging in deep and figuring out a lesson plan, a summary, or how to actually develop the routines, which you talk about in chapter 5, the routines and the discipline to do this stock trading and turn it into an income source. Like replace my checks that I'm getting at LA Unified. How am I going to do it through the stock market? This book put me in the right place of
mm,
mind to do what I needed to do to learn how to do what I'm doing right now.
mm,
It put me in the right place of mind. Like I needed a routine and learn the routine and learn the language and learn the lingo of the stock market, which
mm.
I had time. The world was shut down. And the great thing about it, the stock market was shut down. It
Yes.
was just coming, it was just coming back, and I was just getting in. So the timing couldn't have been better. It's perfect. So now I put my both elbows on the table and I started coming up with a routine and a plan and and organize my understanding of the stock market, and I was it was nothing but wins. Like once I got in, I took baby steps, which you
Mm,
talk about also in your book.
mm,
Like baby steps are steps.
mm.
Like you need to figure out how to take a step and then take another step and take another step after that. So, putting together a routine, taking baby steps and
Yes.
figuring out my path and my way to my goal it's all in your book. Everything is in your book. So I
Okay.
just I stuck to the plan. I kept the fundamentals and I kept learning more and more and more about the stock market. And this is my sixth or seventh year, Elvis. And I'm not trying to be wealthy. I'm not looking for financial wealth. I'm looking for financial wellness, which is
Wow.
different. Which is
Okay.
different. It's
Okay.
two
What is
different
the
things.
difference? So what's the difference
Uh,
there?
Financial wealth is like trying to put a bag of money on a table.
Mm,
Financial wealth is trying to put a bag of money on the table.
mm-hmm,
Financial wellness is finding income out of the stock market, like putting money in and taking money out, turning money into an employee,
mm, mm, mm,
making your money make money.
mm.
Because there's several books I can recommend, like similar to yours, like Robert Kiyosaki is one, and I'm giving him a shameless plug. I hope he listens to this podcast, and I hope he reaches out to you because you are giving the suit coat to the suit that he made the suit that you're supposed to wear, making it look good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you made the jacket that you put on to cover it up. and make it look good.
Okay.
If he was smart, Kiyosaki would call you. But he came up with the cash flow quadrant,
Yeah.
which everybody kind of works in. There's four elements to the cash flow quadrant.
Mm.
One is an employee.
Yeah.
A lot of your listeners are probably doing this right now as we speak. Employees go to a job, they give up their time and their talent for money. They get results from the outcome, but they're not responsible for the outcome. Somebody else is responsible. You share your talent and your time for money. You
Mm.
do it on hourly, a salary. Some people on salary, some people on hourly. But you
Mm.
go out, you go to a job, you do the work, you get paid.
Okay.
Employee.
Yes.
Second level, business owner. A business owner has the idea of what the services and product we're going to sell. He builds the business. He hires employees to come work in the business, and then he makes money off the employee's talent that is doing his ideal in the business. Business owner. You got a
Mm.
store. You got a store. You hire a cashier. She
Mm.
checks out the groceries. You
Mm.
hire a shipping clerk. He puts the product on the shelf. You open the doors, put advertise on the windows so people can come into the store. You make the store consumer friendly. So somebody's got to keep that look up and the maintenance, clean the floors. Business owner. The guy that runs all of that, business
Yeah.
owner. So you
Yes.
got an E and a B. Self-employed. You know
Mm.
this. Me and you both are self-employed. We
Yes.
we go out and we sell our services
Yes.
for a price, and we
Yes.
control the time, we
Mm.
control the concept and the content, and we get paid for our concept, our content, and we control everything that has to do with our finances. We have
Yeah.
students sitting at the desk, they pay a tuition, we service them with education. Self-employed. We don't have a school that's running us. We run our own institution. Your
Mm.
book, your book. You being an author, you take your knowledge and your ideas and your thoughts. You write them in a book. You put a price tag on it. You sell
Yeah.
it to somebody.
Yes. Yes.
Self-employed. You don't need a building to do that. You don't need anything. You just put it in a book, sell it, make money.
The.
Self-employed.
Uh-huh.
The final quadrant, so you got the employee, the business owner, and then the self-employed person. the
Mm.
final the final income of the cash flow quadrant is investor, which I am doing right now. An investor goes out and he finds companies and people like you, and he puts his money into that. Like, I'll give you $10,000, Elvis, to write the book number two, and whatever the profits are, we share it.
Okay.
We share the profits. So I'm investing in your idea.
Mm.
Nike, Tesla, Walmart, all of these people, they go out and they collect money to keep their stores open. That's how they keep their stores open, through investments. And how they share, what they do is they share the profits of their investments with the shareholders. It's cash flow quadrant.
Wow.
So now your money's making money. You don't have to go to Walmart to get the money. You gave Walmart your money to sell TVs and microwaves and whatever else they sell. They take care of the employees. They take care of the stocking and the shelving and the housing and the property management and the lawsuits and all that stuff. And you just reap the benefits of whatever they profit. When they profit, we profit. So now you're a part of that business. So you go from a business owner to a business investor. Big difference. And Wall Street's been around and making people wealthy, or giving financial wellness for decades. It's one of the best kept secrets, and being financially literate will make a huge difference in your bottom line if you learn from your personal experiences, how to invest in a business as well as run a business.
Wow. That's you gave quite a map into even investing. In fact, I mean, I'm sure that some of the listener might be wondering, where am I in that quadrant? Where am I in that quadrant? Is there a way that I can go to another level of the quadrant? So just that answer gave a map into everybody's level of finance, where you are standing and where you can go if you want to really elevate your own financial wellness, or if you want to think of financial wealth. It's up to you. Everybody defines it for themselves. That was really clear. That was really like to the point in the entry into some level of understanding about financing. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to, in your own journey now, so have you ever felt like you are losing focus, and how did you come back? Were there a moment? Was there a moment that you felt like your focus was being maybe dispersed, or you were you know making yourself spreading yourself too thin, or losing focus on the one thing that you were doing at the time, whether it is now or even in the past? But how did you come back from that to refocus, to be determined, to put yourself on the right path?
Hey, life is going to be lifing all the time. You're going to wake up one morning and you're not going to feel well. You're going to wake up one morning and the bills are going to be in front of you. You're going to say like, "Oh my God, all these bills. I got these bills." We spoke about this the other day. You had a flat tire on your Tesla. You're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, there's a $350 tire." Like, oh man, you're not ready for it. So life is going to be lifing all the time. You got to be ready for life. And yes, I've had trouble and struggled with focusing. Um, and the one thing I did was I don't pivot from the game plan. Don't pivot from the game plan. Make that a rule. Make
Mm,
that one of your rules. Like, the plan is the plan, and we're not going to pivot from the plan. Even though we need to, there's some distractions.
mm,
There's some, the roof might have a leak in it, the plumbing might break, the tire might go flat.
mm,
There might be some issues with the kids at school. There might be some things that, like with your weight, you're too heavy and you're overweight and your body is sore and achy, and
mm,
you got health issues. Things, life always lives. The thing about goal setting is to stick to and you say this in your book, bro. You say, like, you say this in your book. Routines are important. Stick to the plan.
yes.
Create a plan that you can handle and you can stick to, and stay with it. Stay with the plan. And work around your problems. Work around the issues, because the challenge is working around your issues.
Mm,
That's the challenge. And success, you can ask anybody successful, from the richest guy on the planet. Elon Musk has shot missiles up, rockets up to the moon, to the satellites in the sky, and some of his rockets blew up. They didn't make it.
mm,
And we're talking about $100,000 million satellites just pow.
just yeah.
And guess whose fault that was? It was his. But did he stop shooting them up?
No,
Did he stop? He didn't
no,
stop. Still
no,
doing it. He's
no.
still doing it. Teslas have crashed and burned and ran into walls and ran over little kids and stuff like that. He's still doing autonomously. He's still trying to make them babies drive by themselves. You're gonna see him drive. They're gonna drive like Waymos. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. He don't stop because he's sticking to the plan,
Mm,
despite the problems and the troubles that he's having. It's expected. It's part of the formula.
Mm,
Things are not always going to go the way you plan them to go. So you
yeah,
go around it. You go around them. You just keep going. Yeah, man. Focus. You lose focus, but being prepared to lose focus is better than not being prepared to lose focus.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And I think about when you are speaking, I'm thinking about the aviation industry. So, how today we are safer on the sky because of the crashes of the past. Some
Because of
people,
crashes.
yeah, some people, not willingly, not voluntarily, were sacrificed for us to be safe today. So that means that's life, right? Life is
Right.
that you have to hit it. You have to hit that wall. You have to fail. You have to just be tired. Something has to happen for you to sharpen, to modify, to tweak and to better your plan, as you said. So it's not because that it's not working that you're going to abandon and lose focus on that. No, you just have to find the strength and to know consciously that it is part of the plan that I hit that wall. It is part of the plan that something happens so I can figure out how to do it better. And coming back to that aviation analogy, today, man, the sky is so much safer. Can you imagine at the beginning of the aviation, the crashes that have happened? In fact, those who have actually invented the airplane, I'm talking about the Wright brothers. I think they died. I think at least one of them died as a result of crash or something like that. So, which means definitely crash is what is necessary to get back on track and do it better the next time.
In
That's
chapter 8, you talk about new challenges. You talk about taking on and making challenges a part of your one thing. You like just what you just said. You just gotta keep challenging the next thing that's
man,
going on with your success plan. You
man.
talk about that in chapter 8. I was like, wow. I'm listen. I feel like I'm revisiting the book, speaking to you
Yeah.
right now. And that was genius of you how you did that. That was great.
No, no,
Another
thank you, man. And no, by the way, the thing is, I really admire you today because many people may not know because they do not know you. You have a very big challenge in life. I mentioned that to you several times when we've talked, how you are kind of visually impaired. So
China,
you have
very.
difficulty seeing, and you are retired from your, I would say, teaching career. Now you have taken on a lot of things in life, even more so than you've done when you were even younger, when you had all your faculties, and today you are an actor, you do commercials. In fact, just yesterday you were shooting a commercial, and then you've done game shows on television, reality TV shows and stuff like that, and you won a lot of them. My God, I mean, just somebody knowing what you do at this moment in your life, giving what you are challenging with, people would just check out. People would just uh, throw in the towel. Yes, you retire. What's the use, right? You've done what you were supposed to do. You've done your career. And on top of that, that would be an excuse to be able to, I'm retired and I don't even see any way. So what to use or even getting out. But you get out, you go take metro, you go take bus, you go take,
Uber.
Uber,
Uber.
whatever, and go to commercial shooting, go to game shows, travel to go shoot shows in Europe and stuff like that. My God, this is an incredible feat. In fact, you are an inspiration. I'm sure I know that you haven't written your book yet, Daryl. I recommend tremendously that you write a book,
Yeah,
especially
I'm
at this
working
stage
on
of
that.
your life, because it's so inspiring. I mean, so many people, for the smallest difficulties that they face in life, they have the tendency to give up. But at the time that you were supposed to just sit down and coast and binge on Netflix and just like bemoaning your state, you stood up and then you are actually doing it. No, I just want to. So what? First of all, what really is going inside you? What is the drive? What is that is going inside of you, and that how maybe you're one thing tied to all of it.
Hey, disabled don't mean unable for one
Okay,
thing.
okay,
All
okay.
right.
Could you repeat
So
that?
that
Could,
see,
could,
yeah,
could you
that that
repeat
that
that?
was that was one thing I would not accept. I would not accept my disability to enable me to do whatever I wanted to do. Um, I've seen Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, other people be super successful with vision loss. My vision's impaired, so I do have some vision. I'm legally blind. I had to stop driving in 2017. I had to stop driving a car, which was difficult. You're losing some of your independence at that point.
I'm sure.
But I wasn't unable, to get to find transportation. I'm a transportation coordinator, so that was no excuse for me not to be able to get transported somewhere. I know the sources of transportation, so losing my car was no big deal. As a matter of fact, I sold them immediately. I put them on the market and sold them, and I took the money and I put it in the bank. I was like, I don't if I can't drive it, I'm not going to sit here and look at it, and wanting to drive it. So if it's gone, I don't have to think about it anymore, right?
Mm,
And now it's time for me to plan on what's the next move. Like we said, taking on new challenges. What's my next challenge here as far as getting to a movie set, getting to a meeting, like dealing with life without vision. Barbara Walters had full vision and she never drove a car. So I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. I can do this. So I wasn't worried about that part. The next challenge I had was teaching, like seeing my students' faces and stuff. For Elvis, I tell you, man, for 7, 8 years, I could not see my students. I could not see my classroom. I could see the desk, the chairs, and the bodies of the kids, but I couldn't tell you who was who in the classroom. So audibly, but with my ears, I could tell by their voices who they
mm,
were. And I would have some of the students, my really smart students, assist me with vision. I use their eyes and have them be the classroom snitch. Who's over there playing? I'm like, who's over there playing right now? Like, who's over there messing around? And they'll snitch on them. So that helped me too. But my principal and my deans and my counselors and everybody, they didn't know I was legally blind because I don't walk around like a blind guy. I don't, like my confidence. Once I figure out how many steps are up and down the stairs, and where the bathroom is, and where things are, geographically. I'm a
mm,
photographer. I'm a photographer by trade, so I've got a photographic memory. So
mm,
once I've figure out the logistics of my area, I can walk without my cane. I do have I carry a white cane, and I do
mm,
walk around, for curbs, bumps, steps, and that kind of thing. But if I'm on a flat surface, you would not know I'm blind. You would
yeah.
not know I'm legally blind. And I know how to use I call them human canes. Like if me and you are walking together, I can put my hand on your shoulder and just follow your steps. And I know you're not gonna step in a puddle and you're not gonna step off a curb or
Yeah.
down in a hole. So I just
Yeah.
follow your steps and trust your walking and steps. And that's
Okay.
that's pretty much so that's pretty much so giving me my independence and my freedom to navigate
Mm,
accordingly without looking like a blind guy. You know, like
wow.
like people can't tell I'm visually impaired. I go in a room, I can't tell a man from a lady. I can hear voices. But you know, men wear long hair now, so I don't know if that's a woman or a guy, girl or a guy, a girl or a guy. So you know, like those challenges, I kind of do a workaround, and we talked about that. We talked about taking on small challenges and turning them into big victories. You say that in chapter 10. How do you take small challenges and turn it into big victories? Like I'm telling you, man, the one thing really helps me not only in business, but in my life, day to day life experiences, because I've got some huge hurdles and challenges. I still hit a golf ball. I still play golf. I'm blind. I'm
Wow.
legally blind, but I take a caddy. I use a caddy's eyes. He points to where I get to hit the ball, and he tells me how far, and I try to I try to deliver on that information. And
Wow.
I've been pretty successful for a blind guy. I can play a good round of golf with some really good golfers, and then I tell them I'm blind. They be like, "Get out of here! You cannot see. I can't see nothing, bro. I can't see nothing. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I'm working around it." And like in chapter 9, man, you talk about spiritual wellness too, Elvis. And that really helps me, man. Without God and without trusting God and understanding my spiritual connection with my life style, my life relationships with my friends, with my family, with my community. I'm spiritually connected to me and you. We got a spiritual connection. We talk about God, and we both believe in the same God that gives and never takes away. He's omnipotent. We share the same spiritual thoughts and wellness. And you talk about that in the book. And, just taking all this into consideration makes
Yeah.
life challenges so much easier. I'm on a movie set, man. Just a normal guy doing normal things. I just have a vision impairment. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not I'm not fully I'm legally blind, but I can see some things, and the things that I can see, I take advantage of. you know
Wow.
and that's just my mindset. I don't never think about losing. I don't think about, losing is not an option to me. As a matter of fact, failing, it makes me weary. It makes me like, it's kind of like a migraine headache. Like, I need
Yeah.
an aspirin because I think I'm about to fail. I need to fix this. I need to fix this quick. I cannot fail. Failure is not an option.
Wow.
It doesn't exist in my DNA. I wake up every morning with it, knowing that the same challenges I had yesterday are going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
So today I've got to deal with my challenges, like my thoughts and ideas.
Mm.
I got them in notes right here, wrote in big black bold ink, so I can see what I can see.
Yeah. 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 Man. That's
Bro,
that's
there's always a workaround, and
yeah.
with understanding that and doing something about that, it makes life so much easier, so much more rewarding. And when I get the victories, Elvis, like I appreciate you, even acknowledging, my imparities, and actually, like giving me kudos for taking on this challenge. I want to help other people with disabilities. Some people, man, that have ability create their own disabilities. Like they purposely don't do anything about trying to do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make
Man.
sense. When you have the
No,
opportunity, you always have the opportunity to be the best you can do.
it can be. Yes, sir. That's
Yeah,
that's incredible.
never not try to do the best you. Like always try to do the best you. And if you can figure
Yeah.
out how to do it better, and somebody
Yeah.
can tell you how to do it better, listen and try it and see. And if it works, own it. There's nothing wrong with stealing ideas. There's no such thing. One
Mm.
idea, God didn't make ideas not to steal. Take them.
Mm,
Take them. Take them, use them, work
man,
them. Yeah, work them.
Daryl, it's incredible just to hear you. I mean, speak of it this way, and not just speak about it, but doing it. Because now a lot of people may think just that, yeah, it's easy for everybody to give advice, but you walk the talk, you know. So you really walk the talk, and I really, man, appreciate. And you inspire me. I mean, when I first realized the things that you were doing with your situation, I'd be like, man, if this guy can do it, how can I not be able to do it myself? Even like 10 times better, because this guy's already doing it so much. So yeah, but if today now, people who are listening to us, somebody's just searching, somebody is scattered, what can you really tell them, especially in the context of your one thing? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, like, small victories are victories.
Yes.
Um, Find your love and your passion, pursue it, find other people that's similar to it that do it, and take notes. You know, because somebody else out there is trying to do what you're trying to do. We're not the only one. I'm not the only guy trying to trade stocks. So I'm around a lot of stock traders all day, every day in order to learn it and be
Yes.
good at it and be good
Yes.
at it and understand it and own it in my lifestyle and in my, in my financial wellness pursuit. I need to know these people and get in the environment that's going to help you get to your one thing.
Yes.
Make a plan to put together to do your one thing. Plan it, because without a map, Christopher Columbus wouldn't have discovered America. Without a map, you can't get from here to Vegas. Like you got to know which way to go. So map it out, plan it out, figure out how you're going to get there. Find out, like you also talk about beginning, middle, and end in one of your chapters. Create a beginning, a middle, and an end to what you're going to do. And make that story yours. Own your story.
Mm,
The beginning, middle, and end are important because if you're trying to just jump right to the end without no middle, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You're not going to get there. You'll never get there if you don't have a start. So start somewhere, build on that in the middle, and then find out what the end result's going to look like. What do you want to end up with? And then figure out what's more. What more means to you? How much
mm.
more of this can I do? How better can I do this? How faster can I do this? How more often can I do this? And that one thing will develop. It will manifest. It will manifest for you.
Wow. Man, I mean, Daryl, so we have arrived at the end of our, conversation today, which I believe it was absolutely incredible, because if only one person is able to improve themselves because of the gems, the nuggets, the insight that you've shared today, man, believe me, I think our goal in life would be achieved, because that's what we do, trying to help the next person with what we know, our experiences, the things that have helped us to be able to be where we are. Thank you so much for coming on the show. But now, if anyone wants to even find out more about Daryl, is there a way that people can look you up or find
Absolutely.
you? Okay.
Absolutely.
You share that
Um,
with everyone, please.
my website is icsge.com. Investment Club, Signal Group, Education.com. It's the letters, the initials. I as in ice, C as in cat, S as in Sam, G as in George, E as in education.com. ICSGE.com. And you'll find out everything about financial wellness, spiritual wellness, financial growth, and the stock market, because I'm teaching it from the ground up. So this is like stock market for dummies. That's what this is.
Mm.
This is baby steps to success. This is how to do it safe and solid, and understand how to become an investor. If you're tired of being an employee, if you own a business and you're struggling with the inflation and the economy and business, landscape, and you're ready to move on to something different, business owners, self-employed, employees, how to be an investor, you've got all the fundamentals built in you already. You just need to know how to invest in a company that's doing what you want them to do with your money to make you money. McDonald's going to make a hamburger and you're going to get paid for a McDonald's hamburger. I'm going to show you how to do that.
Thank you so much, Daryl, for coming, and thank you for your wisdom today. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time on Speaking with Elvis podcast, as usual. Thank you. Yeah, bro.